What if I told you there's a memory inside your head that was never yours? Think about it for a second. A vivid memory, with details, emotions, maybe even smells and sounds. But somehow, it doesn't belong to your story. Something that seems too real to be imagination, but too strange to be true. Now answer me honestly. Have you ever experienced this? Maybe it was something small. A place you swear you visited, even though you know you've never been there. A specific scene, like a moment from childhood that just doesn't fit. Or that unsettling feeling of déjà vu, but deeper, more intense, as if you were remembering something that should exist, but doesn't. And it's exactly here that everything starts to get strange, because what you're about to discover might surprise you, and perhaps even change the way you perceive reality itself. There are accounts many more than you might imagine of people who possess extremely detailed memories of events that never happened. We're not talking about simple confusion or a fertile imagination. We're talking about complete stories with a beginning, middle, and end. People who remember conversations, places, events that simply don't exist in any record. And the most disturbing thing, they feel these memories as real. Now imagine this being represented in a 2D animation, where every visual detail reinforces this feeling of strangeness. A character trapped in memories that don't make sense, scenes that seem normal at first glance, until something starts to go wrong. An object changes place. A person says something different than they said before, a detail out of place. Small glitches in reality. And here comes the burning question. Is this just a trick of the mind, or is there something more going on? Our minds are powerful. Yes, they create, distort, adapt. But what happens when these flaws start to follow patterns? What happens when more than one person starts sharing the same memory of something that never existed? This ceases to be merely psychological and begins to touch on something much deeper, something that involves perception, time, and perhaps even the very structure of reality. Stay with me until the end, because what seems like just a strange curiosity may actually hide one of the most unsettling concepts of the human mind. The possibility that not all of your memories are, in fact, your own. And the more you think about it, the harder it becomes to ignore certain details. That feeling that something is slightly out of place, as if the world had tiny invisible cracks. As if, behind what you see every day, there were a version, a little different. Perhaps you've never really stopped to question this. Maybe you've ignored those strange feelings, dismissing them as coincidence, tiredness, or just your imagination. But what if it's not? What if these moments are, in fact, clues? Because when we start looking more closely, when we start connecting these mistakes, reality stops seeming as solid as before. And it is precisely here that the line between memory, time, and reality begins to blur. Is E.T. perhaps? At this point, you're already starting to remember something. A feeling, an image, a fragment of memory that didn't seem important before, but now takes on a different weight, as if it were hidden there, waiting for you to notice. And that's exactly why I want to hear from you. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below, describing what has resonated with you the most so far. It could be a strange memory, a more intense déjà vu, or even that inexplicable feeling that something was out of place. Sometimes, what seems isolated in your experience might be exactly what someone else is also going through. And when these stories begin to intersect, everything changes. Your participation here isn't just a random comment. It helps build something bigger. It helps this type of content reach more people who might be going through this in silence, without understanding what they're feeling. So, if this topic resonated with you in any way, leave a like now. It shows that this type of content deserves to continue existing and being explored. And if you want to continue delving into topics like this, involving mind, reality, paradoxes, and those glitches that seem to defy everything we know, subscribe to the channel, because there's still a lot we need to explore together. And this is just the beginning. Now, pay attention to what comes next, because this is where these memories start to stop seeming like coincidence, and begin to follow a pattern. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when we start looking more closely at these strange memories, something changes in the way we see our own minds. It's no longer just about remembering or forgetting. It's about questioning the origin of these memories. Where do they really come from? How could something so vivid, so emotionally charged, simply not have happened? The most common explanation talks about brain malfunctions, about how the mind reconstructs experiences based on fragments, mixing imagination, dreams, and perceptions. But this answer, however logical it may seem, doesn't cover everything. There are details that escape notice, patterns that shouldn't exist. And it is in these small deviations that the true revelations begin. Think about it. If it were just imagination, why do these memories follow such a coherent structure? Why do they carry decisions, consequences, deep feelings, as if they were part of a real journey? It doesn't seem random, it seems too organized. And this raises a disturbing possibility. Perhaps these memories aren't mistakes. Perhaps they're echoes. Fragments of something that existed in another context, in another timeline of events, or even in another version of yourself. It seems absurd at first, I know, But the more you observe, the more this idea begins to make sense in an uncomfortable way. Because this isn't just about memory, it's about identity, about who you believe yourself to be, about the decisions that shaped your story, or at least, the version of it that you know. And if there's a hidden truth behind all of this, it could completely change how you see your own reality. It's as if we're only seeing the surface, while behind the scenes lies something much bigger, something we still can't fully explain, but which leaves subtle clues all the time. And perhaps the most impactful thing isn't the phenomenon itself, but what it reveals about the fragility of what we call reality. Because when a memory seems real enough to influence your feelings, your choices, and even your mindset, does it matter where it came from? Comment below. Does this make sense to me? I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Imagine a character who grows up with a specific memory, something simple, almost commonplace, a childhood afternoon in a special place, with details so clear they seem impossible to invent. The sound of the wind, the light hitting it in a unique way, a memorable conversation that shaped part of his mentality, influenced decisions, created feelings that accompanied him throughout his journey. It was an important memory, until the day he decides to talk about it with his own family. And then, everything breaks. The people around him simply don't recognize that story. They say that place was never part of his life, that moment never existed. At first, he thinks it's a misunderstanding, some forgotten detail. But as he persists, he realizes something much deeper. Nobody has any record of it. No photos, no shared memories, nothing. It's as if that memory has been erased from reality, except from his mind. And that's where the impact starts to grow, because it's not just about being right or wrong. It's about feeling something real, being invalidated by everything around you. It's about realizing that what helped build who you are may not have happened. And when that happens, the doubt doesn't stay trapped in that memory. It spreads. It starts to affect other parts of your story, other decisions, other certainties. Internal transformation is inevitable. Trust in one's own mind begins to falter. And along with that comes a question that changes everything. If this memory isn't real, then why does it seem more real than so many others? And perhaps the most unsettling thing is realizing that this type of account is not isolated. It appears in different forms, in different contexts, always carrying this same strange pattern, as if something were in the background influencing these experiences. Something we don't yet fully understand, but which leaves traces. And the more you think about it, the harder it becomes to ignore the possibility that there's a hidden truth behind these memories. Something that may be directly linked to how reality is organized around us. Write this down. I'm on this journey too. Hide that now. I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because once that doubt is planted, something begins to change not only within the mind, but in the way reality presents itself. Small details begin to fall out of place. Simple things, almost imperceptible at first glance. An object you're sure you left in one place appears in another. A phrase someone said yesterday is denied today with conviction. Dates that don't match. Situations that seem to have been slightly rewritten. At first, it's easy to ignore. We rationalize, try to fit it into a comfortable logic. Tiredness, distraction, information overload. But as these events repeat themselves, a pattern emerges, and that's exactly when the discomfort grows, because it no longer seems random. It's as if there are small glitches happening behind the scenes of reality. Subtle, almost invisible flaws, but which leave enough traces for those who are paying attention. And the most unsettling thing is that these errors don't come with an explanation. They simply happen and disappear, as if they had never existed. This starts to directly affect your mindset. The way you make decisions changes because there is now constant uncertainty. A silent doubt accompanies every choice. Has it always been this way? Or has it changed now? And when that feeling sets in, it completely transforms your perception of control. Because perhaps the greatest impact lies not in the failure itself, but in what it reveals. In the possibility that reality is not as fixed as it seems. That there is something operating behind the scenes, adjusting, altering, rearranging events in a way that we cannot yet understand. And the more you observe these details, the more they begin to appear. As if, once noticed, they can no longer be ignored. As if you had crossed a point of no return on this journey of discovery. And it is at this point that the question ceases to be, is this real? And becomes, what else is being altered without me realizing it? Comment below. I've already noticed this, now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because when we begin to notice these flaws and memories that seem not to belong to us, it's natural to seek answers. The first explanation that comes to mind is scientific, and it's fascinating in itself. Our brain is a complex machine, capable of reconstructing experiences with impressive precision, mixing facts, dreams, imagination, and even emotions that we didn't directly experience. It creates internal narratives that make sense to us, giving a sense of continuity and coherence to our personal history. This capacity is incredible, but it also has consequences. Sometimes, these reconstructions can generate memories that feel real, but that, in fact, never happened. Even understanding this mechanism, something continues to defy logic. There are details, patterns, and coincidences that seem to surpass rational explanation. It's not just about confusing dates or places. It's about feeling emotions that shape us, decisions we make based on memories that don't correspond to objective reality. And this begins to open a huge door to deeper reflections on perception and truth. It's as if, behind what we see and remember, there are hidden layers of reality that we haven't yet been able to fully access. This journey forces us to question our own mindset, how we evaluate experiences, and how we construct our personal narrative. When we understand that our memories can be both a tool for construction and a source of illusions, we begin to realize the impact they have on every decision, every choice, and even how we see life around us. This is where the transformation begins. Not just about knowing if a memory is true, but about understanding how it influences us, how it shapes our beliefs, and even our perception of hidden truth. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, because each comment, each shared reflection, helps create a community that seeks to explore these mysteries together, looking behind the scenes of the mind and reality. Comment below. Revelations like this intrigue me, and I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because when we start looking at these memories that seem not to belong to us, something strange happens. Logic begins to fail. Details that once made sense now seem contradictory. People remember different things about the same event. Places change their appearance. Conversations repeat themselves with small variations that no one can explain. It's as if reality were alive, adjusting itself, reorganizing itself before our eyes, and we were just observers trying to keep up. Each fragment out of place increases the feeling that there is something hidden behind what we believe to be the truth, and it is precisely here that curiosity intensifies. We begin to notice patterns that shouldn't exist, connections between memories, details that repeat themselves in different contexts, almost as if they were guiding us to a revelation that we still cannot fully understand. It is an experience that challenges our own perception and transforms the way we evaluate what is real and what is illusory. This impact affects anyone's mindset, because we are not just talking about memories, but about choices, decisions, and experiences that shape who we are. When we realize that something as solid as a memory can be manipulated or even shared by other people in ways impossible to explain, we begin to question our own narrative, the story we have constructed about ourselves and the world. And it is at this point that the feeling of mystery transforms into a kind of deep unease, a need to understand the inner workings of this reality that seems fragile and full of hidden layers. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, because each comment, each shared reflection, helps create a community that explores these phenomena together, exchanging experiences and discovering new perspectives on the hidden truth that surrounds us. Comment below. I feel that to him now. I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when you start noticing these strange patterns in memories and small flaws in reality, an even more unsettling idea begins to emerge. What if time, as we believe we know it, isn't linear? Imagine the feeling of looking at a memory that seems perfectly structured, with a beginning, middle, and end, but that doesn't fit into any known timeline. It's as if your own story is being rewritten, or perhaps superimposed on other versions of events you didn't even know existed. This time paradox completely changes the way we see life and forces us to question decisions, moments, and experiences that previously seemed unquestionable. And it's fascinating to realize the impact this has on mindset. Suddenly, every choice, every memory, every experience takes on a different weight, because you start to wonder, was what I lived exactly as I remember it, or am I accessing fragments of something that happened in another context, in another reality? This reflection transforms each person's journey, bringing to light a hidden truth that challenges our perception of reality and connects us to an even deeper dimension of revelations. And when you realize that these paradoxes are not just theoretical, but appear concretely in the small inconsistencies of everyday life, the psychological effect is inevitable. The feeling of control dissolves, giving way to intense curiosity and a need to explore the inner workings of everything we consider right. Every detail observed takes on meaning, every discrepancy becomes a clue, and you begin to see your own existence as a dynamic construction, subject to subtle and unpredictable adjustments. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, because each comment, each shared insight, helps create a community that explores these complexities together, discovering new layers and perspectives on what we think is reality. Comment below. My mind is open to why, so now I want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because as you begin to notice these paradoxes, glitches, and memories that don't seem to be yours, something within your mind changes. The sense of security we had about our own experiences begins to dissolve, and every small detail becomes a gateway to bigger questions. The psychological impact is intense. You begin to feel that not only can reality fail, but that your own perception is malleable, subject to subtle transformations that can alter the entire narrative of your life. It's a gradual but powerful escalation that leads the mind into a state of almost obsessive attention and curiosity, as if it needs to capture every sign, every inconsistency, before it disappears. At this point, the journey ceases to be merely intellectual and becomes visceral. Feelings of strangeness, déjà vu, and discomfort coexist with intense fascination. The mindset expands because the mind realizes that decisions, memories, and interpretations of events may not be as linear as we always believed. Each re-examined memory gains new weight. Each unexpected detail provokes small internal transformations, and you begin to see hidden patterns that previously went unnoticed. This effect, besides being fascinating, is profound. It reveals a hidden truth about how our experiences are constructed, organized, and sometimes manipulated by factors that we don't always fully understand. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content. Because when we share these reflections, we open up space for a community that seeks to explore these mysteries together, connecting experiences and discovering new perspectives on the mind and reality. Comment below, I'm feeling this to Haidagwai, want to delve even deeper into this subject. Because just when the mind has begun to adapt to these small flaws, strange memories, and paradoxes of time, a disturbing realization arises. What if everything we believe about our own reality is just a superficial layer of something much larger and more complex? Imagine discovering that some memories, feelings, and decisions are not entirely yours, but echoes of alternative versions of your own existence, fragments that traverse timelines or parallel realities without you realizing it. This idea completely transforms how we perceive our identity, our choices, and even the logic we use to interpret the world around us. It's a turning point that not only defies reason, but also provokes a profound sense of unease. Every action taken, every memory recalled, every decision reflected upon, everything can have ramifications that go beyond what we see or understand. The mind begins to realize that life, as we experience it, may be merely a temporary construct, subject to invisible adjustments, as if we were participating in a larger experiment that we haven't yet been able to decipher. It's a hidden truth that directly impacts our perception, our mindset, and how we feel the world, a revelation that changes the very nature of our journey. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content. Because each shared reflection helps create a community capable of exploring these discoveries, questioning patterns, and investigating the behind-the-scenes aspects of reality together with you, making each insight even more meaningful and transformative. Comment below. My mind isn't the same after Dizo Agoy want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when everything we've seen and felt begins to appear malleable, when memories we considered our own reveal themselves as fragments of something larger and paradoxical, the mind doesn't return to its previous state. The effect is lasting. You realize that feeling of certainty, of a continuous timeline, of a solid identity, was never as concrete as you imagined. Every decision you make, every memory you revisit, begins to carry a new tension, that perhaps you are connecting two versions of yourself that coexist in parallel realities, or accessing fragments of a journey that has not yet been fully revealed. It's a silent transformation that affects perception and how we experience life itself, creating a strange sensation that everything is in constant adjustment, even when it seems static. This restlessness drives us to observe the behind-the-scenes aspects of daily life, to seek patterns and meanings in small inconsistencies, and to realize that the mind itself is capable of deceiving, teaching, and revealing us at the same time. It is an experience that provokes a profound change in mindset. We understand that our personal history is not just a straight line, but a network of decisions, memories, and impacts that intertwine in unexpected ways. Every detail that would have gone unnoticed before now becomes an indicator, a piece of a larger puzzle that challenges our understanding of reality. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and reach more people with this type of content, because each comment, each shared reflection, helps to expand the discussion and create a community capable of exploring these revelations together, making everyone's journey even more intense and meaningful. Comment below. My perception changed after this. So, say vo if you've made it this far. You've already realized how much these reflections can affect the mind and transform the way we see our own reality. That's precisely why we continue exploring these mysteries together here on the channel. So, if it makes sense for you to follow this journey and delve into more discoveries about memories, paradoxes, and perceptions, leave a like, because it shows that we're connected and that this type of content has a real impact on the lives of those who watch. And if you want to continue this exploration, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Because each episode here is designed to further expand this vision of the mind, reality, and the behind-the-scenes aspects of what we think we know. Also, feel free to leave a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end, so I know you really connected with everything we shared here." There's a video over here that complements this topic. Click on it and continue with me there, because the journey isn't over yet, and the discoveries that follow may completely change the way you perceive the world around you.